is the news in special English. I'm Laurel Bowman in Washington. Opponents of Egyptian President Mohamed Morsi continue to protest at the presidential palace in Cairo. Tens of thousands of demonstrators gathered there Friday. It was not clear whether protesters had pushed through the main gate of the palace, where army tanks are deployed. Protesters told VOA that they are angry at the president's plans to call for a vote on a new constitution. They are also angry about the extraordinary powers he has given himself temporarily. The head of the National Salvation Front, Mohamed ElBaradei, says the president's refusal to compromise has caused a disaster. Mr. Morsi represents the Muslim Brotherhood. Members of his group also demonstrated Friday. They support a constitution based on Islamic law. Mr. Morsi says discussions are the only way to settle Egypt's constitutional crisis. But opposition leaders said Friday they will not attend his planned talks on Saturday. The exiled leader of the Islamist Palestinian militant group Hamas entered Gaza Friday for the first time in many years. He kissed the ground after crossing from Egypt. Khalid Mashal was met by crowds of supporters, including Gaza's prime minister and Hamas leaders. Mr. Mashal told reporters he felt great joy at finally setting foot in Gaza. He had not visited the Palestinian territories since a brief trip in 1975. He has been leading the Islamic militant group from Qatar and has most recently been in Egypt. Mr. Mashal is spending 2 days in Gaza and will celebrate the 25th anniversary of Hamas. Syrian rebels say they plan to seize Damascus International Airport. Rebels called the airport an acceptable target in their fight to oust President Bashar al-Assad. Friday, a rebel commander said attacks on the airport are justified because it is being used as a military area. He said civilians should avoid the area. Earlier, Syrian activists said the army has bombed 2 neighborhoods near Damascus and deployed troops in an effort to reclaim territory from rebels. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said the army fired rockets at the 2 rebel-held areas southwest of the capital. The group said it feared that increasing numbers of troops outside the neighborhoods could be the sign of a future ground attack. China has criticized the United States for comments made by an American official. Maria Otero is Undersecretary of State and Special Coordinator for Tibetan issues. On Wednesday, she blamed China's policies in Tibet for a number of Tibetans setting themselves on fire. She called on the Chinese government to let Tibetans express their concerns freely. On Friday, a Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman called her comments disgusting. He said the Tibet issue is not related to human rights, ethnicity, or religion. China blames the Tibetan spiritual leader, the Dalai Lama, and his supporters for inciting the burnings. The Dalai Lama has denied any involvement. At least 92 Tibetans have set themselves on fire in western China since 2009. 28 cases were reported in November alone. You are listening to the news in VOA Special English. An explosion in Kenya's capital has killed at least 2 people and wounded a member of parliament. The explosion took place outside an Islamic center in a largely Somali neighborhood of Nairobi. An aide to the parliament member told VOA the lawmaker was answering questions from the public at the time of the explosion. The Red Cross says at least 8 people were wounded. No one has claimed responsibility for the attack. The explosion was the second to hit the neighborhood in 2 days. An explosion on Wednesday wounded at least 8 people. No one has claimed responsibility for that attack. The United States says its labor market improved sharply last month. The jobless rate fell to 7.7%. That is the nation's lowest unemployment rate in nearly 4 years. Businesses added 146,000 new jobs in November. That was more than economists had predicted. The jobless rate improved from 7.9% in October. However, the government said employers added 49,000 fewer jobs in October and September than had been estimated. The government report said a big part of the decline in the jobless rate was the fact that more Americans stopped looking for work. When people without jobs give up looking for work, they are no longer counted as unemployed. The United States economy is the world's largest. Experts say it is improving slowly but steadily. And in Europe, the economic recession in Greece is continuing. The Greek economy shrank almost 7% from July to September compared to the same period last year. The Greek government said Friday the shrinkage was, in fact, an improvement from earlier predictions. Still, the economy is expected to shrink more than 4% next year. That would be the 6th straight year of recession for the nation. There was good news, however. Greece is predicting economic growth of 0.2% next year. The prediction came as the government ended a program to buy back $13 billion of bonds as part of an effort to reduce government debt. Hospital officials in London say that the nurse who took a call for Catherine, the Duchess of Cambridge, has been found dead. The call was meant to be a joke. 2 Australian radio announcers called the hospital and asked to speak to Catherine. She is pregnant and was being treated for morning sickness. British officials are investigating the death. They call it unexplained. A statement released for Prince William and the Duchess expressed sadness at the news. The prince's wife was released from the hospital Thursday.